Southwest, whom the APC presidential candidate visited to get their endorsement. After being endorsed by many Southwest leaders and the former leader of the Afenifere group, Ruben Fashoronti, the new acting leader of the group, Chief Adebanjo, has rejected his endorsement. And now there have been backlash on what may have prompted this decision. That is what we'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes. Joining me now is a public affairs commentator, Ayodele Adewale. It's nice to have you join me right now.
Thank you for having me.
Great. All right, as we get along, we'll have Razak Olukoba also join us on the group and on the discussion, and then we'll talk. All right, now let's start this way. I believe that over the years, even those who are not Yoruba have come to understand or come to appreciate the role of Afenifere group, you know, and what they do for the Southwest, you know, and the stability and all of that. But for those who may not be aware of the role it plays in the scheme of things, can you give us an idea of what role the Afenifere group plays in the whole scheme of things, in the social, cultural, and maybe political landscape?
Well, in every society, you must have leaders, especially in communities, as the case may be. Afenifere, it's a pan-Yoruba social cultural group that protects primarily the interests of the Yoruba nation and anything that concerns Yoruba people. Within the structure, you also have political interest, because politics also determines the well-being of human activity, as the case may be. The leaders are there to make sure that things go all right, and particularly within a state like Nigeria, where you have multi-ethnic interests. Afenifere also becomes a fulcrum to protect that interest. But also remember that we do have Egbe Omodudua, and that was the first one that was put together by Chief Maja and the rest. And over time, Awolowo came and Afenifere came to be, and as they journeyed on, if I may use the word, Nadeco also came, but Nadeco is a bigger platform that embraces different...
Yeah, even beyond the Yoruba interest.
But again, it was founded by predominantly Yoruba interest. So that is it.
I see. All right. Now, it is believed that whatever the Afenifere, you know, decide, although not necessarily exclusive, but to a great extent wield a lot of influence on how Yoruba people as a race will reason and think, shape an opinion in that regard. Now, 2023 is here, and the way that things are going from the endorsement of two various presidential candidates by stalwarts of the Afenifere group is sending a lot of comments and making Nigerians or even Yoruba people debate what is really going on. Pa Ruben Fashoronti, the immediate past leader of the group, a few days ago endorsed the candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, there was also the report of the leader, Pa Adebanjo, endorsing Peter Obi of the Labour Party. And this has generated a lot of comments and even backlash. You know, what do you think is going on here?
Well, it's a case of interest. But the supreme interest should be the interest in which the organization was founded. And that is the interest of protecting primarily that of the Yoruba people. In saying that, I don't think Pa Fashoronti have gone out of line to have endorsed Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, hinging it on their primary interest of existence. And before he did that, of course, he consulted. He consulted far and wide. From the video I saw, and the nomenclature of people that were there, these are eminent Yoruba people that fought very strongly to keep the interest of the Yoruba nation on the table in the Nigerian state. And of course, some of them also fought that Nigeria be not divided. But again, out of his ingenuity, he could not create a state police structure. But again, he used what he met and created the RRS and equipped them the more, funded them the more. But what I love in that policy formulation and working of his was that he created a structure that is sustainable by creating a resource stream that still sustained the RRS regardless of the Lagos State budget, which again is very much competitive, looking at different
demands here and
there. If he hadn't created that system, how would Lagos State look like today? When you just oppose it with Obi, okay, let's look at milestone policies, milestone projects that the two of them had opportunity
as governors.
I've talked about security, which again is sustainable. You look at economic development. I won't talk about IGR being raised, but again, is a key thing. But we look at structures that provide resource. Look at what he did at the Eco Atlantic, using ingenuity without spending Lagos State funds, bringing in the private sector.
Private sector.
Who would want to invest such money to confront the Atlantic Ocean? But he was able again to woo them in, giving incentives and working with the federal government, despite the fact that he was running an opposition state. They supported him. They created more land mass to the extent that they improved the economy of Lagos. Let's go to the free trade zone. These are sustainable things that create wealth. The free trade zone, he was able to create something there. Even when Dangote and the rest were looking for land in other states, they couldn't get it because of the insecurity there and the demand. But again, they came to Lekki Free Trade Zone. Now they are producing fertilizer. The deep sea port
is ready.
There was a company that commissioned their presence there recently. They deal with hydrocarbons and all of that. They have not paid for commercial whatever, so I won't mention their name. These are sustainable things.
We also understand that a world-class airport will be sited around that area.
It has begun. By the time you go to the Badagry area, they are also constructing another port there. A local company, Discover Oil, the Folawiyo Group, and all of that is also adding value to the Lagos enclave. The Blue Rail will start running anytime from now, and all that. And even the fintech industry are allowed to come in. Now, when you liken it to what Obi have done, look, Obi is a nice guy. I like him and all that. I think move this nation. As of now, regardless of where the person comes from, we need an egghead, somebody that we can leverage on and move this country forward.
Of course, joining us in the studio as well is Razak Olukoba, who we've been expecting since. Razak, good morning.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you.
Good morning.
I guess the traffic dealt with you this morning.
Sorry about that.
No, we're all in Lagos, so we understand what the issue is. All right, now we started the discussion before you came, but now that you're here, let me throw this question to you. Comrade Ayodele had laid the foundation of understanding what Afenifere is and the role in the scheme of things. But however, let's come to the issue of endorsements. Why is it so important to have endorsements from organizations for candidates at this time? Because we see candidates crisscrossing the country, as the case may be, getting endorsements from different organizations, corporate organizations, social organizations, political organizations, and so on.
Well, thank you very much. I know Ayo here is from the same school of thought from me. I didn't know what he has said, but it can be different from what I would say if I'm here, which is clearly that when I came on board, they were the Egba doing their business on their own, the Jebus, the Oyos. I came and harmonized them. He created a synergy for all of us to work together as one in Yoruba land. He didn't just do that by magic. For you who wants to play politics, join AG. For who just love Yoruba land, the welfare, the security, and created an organization. Can't be anything different from what we say. So when I left, Mr. Soul continued to rest in peace. I just came on board and followed the template. The same thing for Adebanjo. But today there seems to be that gap. When we say we are a policy member of Afenifere, we are not essentially a member, but they created a participatory role for us each time there were discussions. When it comes to welfare of Yoruba land, it's not a political organization, but about welfare, the culture, what Yoruba people want. That's essentially what they're all about. Well, like we have said, why are we having people talking about endorsement? This is about the first time since 1999 we are going to be having very robust engagement. That's how we should be doing. When you have manifesto, people will want to talk to you. Manifesto will talk about the political, the economic model. What do your government intend to do? Not promissory note of I'll do road, I'll do electricity. Concrete manifesto. And that's on the basis of why people want to talk to you. When you say you are going to create a model that will promote the basic economy of the world, the transport, the origin industry, oil sector, organization will talk to you, want to talk to you, because they know that your political career and their faith is tied together. And that's why I'm having this question of the whole endorsement. For our leaders in Afenifere, we have always maintained that position because there were complaints that Afenifere will not come on board. There's no how AIG will not come on board because it's not engages everybody. But today, when Baba speaks, you say Baba is on his solo because that template is missing. So, if you watch that video, you see that Falawe, as usual, made very impressive speech there that is also always ready to offer. What do you call that?
At the Akure meeting.
At the Akure, what do you call that? That's a tacit endorsement. The people who are managing those old men should be held responsible for all this thing that they are going through. In those days, we were engaged. I was one of the very closest person to Balage. We engaged them all night. We engaged Ifalai all night. We engaged all these old men all night. That door has been shut now, not for people like us, but every other people. So that when they talk, people will say, could that be our position? And that is why there's a crowd. We want that shawaju because Yoruba has created a model in governance which has promoted peace. Look at the model we have always had, the alliance between other ethnic groups and the North, because North has always been a reckoning factor in our political space. The model led to first model led to civil war, the first model led to almost break up in Nigeria. But since that time to today, the new model on ground, nobody will say it should be detention. People have debt, political debt. Well, now, this is a workable model. All that is to fall in place. Once you get that model correct, then once you get that alliance correctly, economic issue will fall in place. All of that issue that is missing will fall in place. And that's why we are today. I always say what is on ground today works. Particularly when you see a particular region embracing Ashwaju, they are the one even polishing him and trying to make us see what we are unable to see about him. I'm saying, no, we know this is about him already. We are just reminding us. So we manage our interests together. So it's important to me that we must locomote politically. The country must move forward. We must come together. All we need to do, the elders in the APC, all they need to do is to re-engage Afenifere again. Let's re-engage them again. It's not the time for talking. There are things that they don't see that we need to make them see.
And those structures also have offshoots, even if some of them have passed on. We both belong to the Nadeko-Pronaku structure. Do you think if Olokwaba is going for something, I would say no, especially when it tallies with what we have discussed all over time? We also have friends across the Niger, even friends across the north. There's a friend of mine, Saleh Kuba, the secretary of Mieti Allah. Do you think if I am putting an interest on the table, a Saleh will say no. A Saleh is with us on this Ashwaju's project. Yakasai, Umar, the son of Tanko Yakasai. I was part of those who brought him to APC and said, let us work for Ashwaju because of what we have discussed in NANS pre-99. And this is a man that will achieve it for us. And he came, left Kwankwanso to join us. We have discussed with Asari Dokuba and so many of them. They are all on board with us. We are offshoots. We are still underneath the leadership.
We have to leave it here now. Razak Olukoba, thank you so much for your insight.
It's a pleasure being with you.
And Ayodele Adewale, thank you very much for coming as well.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we